2019 preseason officially underway. Brian Kelly with a press conference today, meeting with the media. A ton of personnel issues to deal with here, but I want to start with the captains and something that Irish Illustrated had suspected, that he couldn't keep it to four captains like he suggested in the spring, and it sounds like he's going to expand it up to 5 or 6.
And I would guess 6, right? When he said, I stand corrected. There's just been so much. I guess it's a good thing. Good leadership over the summer. A lot of guys elevated to the status of they should be captains. I bet he goes to 6. I was trying to do it in my head, and I couldn't cut past 6.
Well, 6 is relatively easy, I think, when you start talking about the inclusion of Gilman and people like that. Not that Gilman doesn't deserve to be a captain, but there are so many guys that enrolled originally with the senior class that deserve it. So it sounds like that'll be expanded, and that will be announced at some point during the first week in Culver. Some of the injury situations, positive news on Aaron Banks and a foot surgery. He is full go. It sounds like that he's ready to go. Chase Claypool ankle injury. Brian Kelly at the end said he was full go, but they'll be careful with him in Culver.
I think it's the real test, as Kelly said, is we haven't really asked him to do Chase Claypool type things, like explosive moves, and they have 30 days for it. I bet we see a lot less of the real Chase Claypool in Culver than we do when we're back here in a couple weeks with practices at LeBar. And by media day, that's when you got to start to wonder. You got to make sure Banks is still fine on around August 20th. Chase Claypool should look like Chase Claypool at that point, and then that's when you know he's really fine.
I think somewhat unexpected news with Trevor Rulin. It sounds really, really positive with him in the knee and his knee. I don't think that means he's going to unseat Jarrett Patterson at center, but it gives them another able body there, along with Josh Lugg coming off the bench.
Well, Josh Lugg is their best backup center. He's also their best backup guard, and now you have Trevor Rulin that can do either. So, as Kelly said, I don't want this to be a thing, but now you have Lugg and Rulin behind him. You could probably move Aaron Banks out to tackle if you need to, which means Lugg can move into guard. And Kelly said today, Jarrett Patterson can still go play tackle. Remember, he was a tackle last year, so they've really built some depth. And it's not even out of necessity. He said they're going to be rotating 11 guys in Culver with that first string. That is some serious depth up front, considering you don't lose anyone other than Ruland.
Right. We've been providing information from Irish Illustrated as far as the development of J.D. Bertrand this summer. Brian Kelly confirmed it. He is definitely in the mix at that position.
Yeah, well, now I really want to watch him because those are when he says he's going, and Drew White also, who missed the spring. Drew White gets injured a lot, and I think that's really hurt his career more than we thought. I think we gave up on Drew White a lot faster than the staff did. Mm-hmm. He's got to stay healthy now to actually compete. But yeah, Bertrand in the mix. I don't think that's a guy that's going to win a job. That would speak poorly of Asmar Bilal and Shane Simon, honestly. Right. But it's good for the future that J.D. Bertrand has kind of shown a knack for playing the Mike linebacker, because they need one coming forward.
The typical verbiage with Kevin Austin, we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. I asked about Troy Pride moving to boundary, and he just wants his, that guy on the boundary side is going to have to mix it up. He's not the biggest guy. He's not Julian Love, but he's the most experienced there, and it opens up opportunities for Tariq Bracy and Sean Crawford at the field.
Yeah, Bracy was only 170, and it is not an identical listing from the spring. He was 172. I don't know. That doesn't mean he's not stronger, but I would think that coat of armor they talk about was necessary. It's not necessary if you're sharing time with Sean Crawford as much, but you wanted to see, let's be fair, you wanted to see Tariq Bracy show more than 170 on that frame, and that was the one thing when I looked at the weights that it was alarming. There was really nothing else. Jason Adamalola lost a little bit of weight. You would have thought maybe he put on some muscle, but I like him as a playmaker anyway, rather than point of attack guy. But I'll go through the roster again. But there was none of the crazy weight gains that people are kind of dying to see in August. There's really nothing else on there.
A couple injuries people were curious about as it relates to depth at defensive tackle. It sounds like Jamian Franklin is full go, and that's really good news for the nose tackle position. Maybe not so much with Hunter Spears as he bounces back from the knee, but he's involved as well.
Yeah, that's what they need is depth in there, and if they can have one of them help along with Howard Cross, that's what you need for depth this year. Because look, I know Jerry Tillery had to rest, but Jerry Tillery when he was good when he was in there was absolutely great. I think the guys now need that rest to be at their best.
Yeah, Brian Kelly talking about doubling back here over to quarterback Ian Book having the confidence and carrying himself differently than he did a year ago. And Phil Jerkovic, we also talked about this on Irish Illustrated's podcast, that he had, it was up to him that he changed his throwing mechanics. Brian Kelly doesn't like to change them. Phil Jerkovic's back to where he was, so maybe he can settle in a little bit. That's it today outside the Goog. We'll be back on Saturday on Sunday when Notre Dame hits the playing field at Culver Academies.